oh, oh, oh. I'm gonna stand up. I'm gonna stand up.
Crouch, crouch. Squat down. There you go. There you go. Here comes the baby, baby girl. Here it comes, here it comes. Breathe. Yeah, yeah. There you go. There you go. Oh my God. Oh my God. You got it, you got it, you got it. Oh my baby. Wait. Right here. Grab it. Yes, my baby's crying. Yes.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Welcome to my channel. Thank you for watching. I will be sharing the birth story of my daughter in this video today. My very first video to basically introduce me, Yasmin as a mother. So let's get into it. She was born in 2021, so we'll start on Tuesday, April 13th, around 4 p.m. I started getting contractions. Prior to that, I didn't have any practice contractions, so it was a new feeling. So I wasn't sure if it was those practice or Braxton Hicks, or if it was early stages of labor. So I told my husband, let's just carry on with our night. We just ate some dinner, played a game of chess, and went to bed around 9 p.m., which was around the usual time we went to bed. And I remember waking up around 1:45 a.m. April 14th. And I felt some pretty intense contractions. I couldn't sleep anymore. I was already tossing and turning, but at that point it was too intense for me to lay in bed. It was too uncomfortable. So I got out of bed, I tried walking around for a bit, I tried getting on my ball. Nothing helped. I just was in pain. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I was just doing my best to get comfortable. But obviously nothing can be comfortable through that. So I went into the tub, and that was the only place where I did feel comfortable, I guess. And I was just going through it, letting those primal sounds come through me, letting them release, doing my best to ride through the waves of the contractions, and letting my husband sleep, because I knew it was probably, we were going to be in for a ride. So I wanted to let him get rest. Around 5 to 6 a.m., it got a little more intense, and I got louder to where he heard me, and he woke up to come check on me. I brought my notes because it's been 2 years now, so I had to refresh my memory on the whole birth story, because it was a story. It was a ride for sure. But he came to see if I was okay. I remember he restarted my bath, got it warm for me, set up my affirmations that I had got, my birthing affirmations that I got, which I'll put a little clip of. And he tried making me breakfast and coffee. I just couldn't keep it down. He did his best to make sure I was good, which he's my rock. He's great for that. He's the best birthing partner I could ever have, always will have. But I think him waking up made me feel more comfortable to gain control of my breathing through the contractions, because being alone, I just felt like I couldn't. I think that's why it was so loud. I couldn't get through the contractions alone. But having him there was kind of like my safety net on earth. Like, hey, I'm here for you. I got you. So he was like my little safety net, and I was more comfortable to recenter to get through the breathing of the contractions. And I remember being so hot, probably because the water was so hot, but warm water was the only thing that felt comfortable to me. That was the only thing that was getting me through these damn contractions, because they were intense. And I remember he was getting a cardboard box and he was just fanning me with all his might, trying to keep me cool because I was just going through it. I couldn't. He had a towel he was putting over my head and rubbing my back, just trying to make sure I was cool and I felt good and comfortable. That's my man right there. He did his best to make sure I stayed good through that whole experience, through anything we've been through. But we're just talking about the birth. And I remember he just kept reminding me that I got this when I didn't feel like I did. I remember hours being passed by and I'm like, am I getting any progress? So I remember sticking my finger in down there to see if I felt anything. And it wasn't head, but I believe it was the water that the baby was in, because the water didn't break until she was born. So I believe that is what I felt, because it just felt like jelly-like. And I didn't want to pop it. I was very gentle, so I was like, oh, I do feel something. I'm getting somewhere. It's opening, because I felt like I wasn't getting anywhere, getting through all those contractions, but I was. So there was a relief knowing that I was getting somewhere. So fast forward to around 2 p.m., transition. That's when it got super intense. And my husband kind of reminded me, he's like, he nudged me to maybe get out of the tub because I was in there for so long. He said, maybe, gotta let gravity do his thing. So I kind of took that and I'm like, maybe I should. And as soon as I got out of the tub, sure enough, those contractions got even more intense. So I just knew, I'm like, this is what I need to do. I need to get out of that tub and just surrender to the waves, surrender to the baby coming, just let them come, because I was too comfortable in the bathtub and not letting the waves come. So I was just surrendering to it and just letting them come, because the more intense they were means closer to my baby. So I remember holding his hands for dear life. I'll show a little clip in there. He was dying, like ripping his hands off. I tried getting onto the toilet, sitting on the toilet, grabbing onto the counter next to the toilet as hard as I could, and his hand just going through the contractions. And then at one point I ended up getting on all fours and going through that. I remember I was so worried about if I pooped, and I did a little bit, but he wiped it off. But yeah, so it was getting super intense around that time, and that was the transitioning time. And I remember at a certain point I was just like, I can't. I remember leaning over the tub because I was on all fours outside of the tub. I remember leaning over the tub and I'm like, I can't. And he's like, you can. I said, take me to the hospital. He said, you can. And then I changed it up and I was like, I can. So I just powered through it and just kept going through it. And I remember intuition came through and said, stand up. And as soon as I stood up, that was my last contraction. And whew, baby came through. I remember prior to that, I remember on one of the pushes, he was saying, the baby's head, I see the baby's head, the baby's hair is brown. I said, I don't care about that right now. I just want to get this baby out of me. But then it was getting closer to that, and yeah, the baby came. When I stood up, the intuition came and I stood up and she flew out. He caught her and handed her to me. I sat down against the tub. He handed her to me and I just held her up, and we were just like in such awe, like she was here. It was a relief. I was relieved because of going through all that. I'm just like, it's done. She's here. And we didn't know that it was a girl until even after she was born. The whole pregnancy, the whole birth, we thought it was a boy. And so we were waiting until she was born to find out what the gender was. So we were just in awe, and she was crying, and we were just like, oh, the baby's here. And then a couple minutes went by and my husband's like, are you going to tell me what it is? And I'm like, oh yeah. So I pulled her up and looked in between the legs and I'm like, it's a girl. And I remember having dreams prior to her being born that seeing a girl. So I kind of knew that it was going to be a girl. And her name came to me too, Lulana, which was in some of the names that I was thinking of I think before I even got pregnant. But I remember seeing a dream of her coming to me. Or actually, I was standing outside of a house and I was yelling, Lulana, and there was a little girl running. So that's when I just knew that I was going to have a girl. But yeah, so baby girl was born. And let's get into after. Let me refresh my memory really quick. Yeah, she arrived around 4:40 to 4:50. I wasn't really concerned about the time, honestly. I was just doing my best to get through it and trusting my body and knowing that my body has my back. My body knows exactly what it's supposed to do. The baby knows exactly what she needs to do to come through to me, to come through Earthside. There was a lot of blood. I remember telling my husband to look if I tore or not, and that's when he told me, he's like, no, but he said, I don't know, but there's a lot of blood. And I didn't want to get it all over the floor. We did have pads to keep it from getting on the floor, but I didn't want to keep making more of a mess, so I got into the tub. Felt like it was easier to clean that way, so I got into the tub with the baby and we just sat there. And I remember she was crying and I immediately took her to my chest and gave her boob, and she latched right away, which I was a little worried about happening, but also reminding myself that the baby knows what they're doing. So sure enough, she did, and she latched on. She ate, she grubbed both sides, and the placenta contraction came pretty quickly, about 10 to 15 minutes after being in the tub, I believe. I felt a contraction. I stood up, handed the baby to my husband, and the placenta birthed. We caught it in a container. My husband caught it in a container. Well, the container was on the floor, so I let it fall into it, and he had the baby. I wanted to do the lotus birth. I wanted to keep the baby connected to the placenta for as long as it stayed connected to her and let it just fall off whenever. But I was new to this, and I almost passed out after birthing placenta with all the blood and not having anything in my system and all that energy I was putting into giving birth. I didn't have anything in my system, so I almost passed out, all that blood loss, which is normal and it was okay. But we were just a little bit freaked out. My husband ran. We had a orange juice in the fridge, so he ran and grabbed that, and I chugged that, and I gained my color back, and I was good. And I was just trying to regain my energy. So that being said, we decided to part ways with the placenta, detach ourselves from the placenta, give our thanks, say goodbye to it, and just carried on with being with the baby and enjoying that she arrived safely. She's breathing, she's alive, and she's healthy, and that's all that matters. And I did it. And it was an experience, but it completely changed me, and it made me a new woman. It turned me into the woman I am today, and I'm grateful for that experience, and I would gladly do it again. Thank you for watching my story, listening to my story. I finally got it out there. I've been wanting to share this for a very long time now, and it's out there now. I'm finally sharing it with you guys. I'm gonna continue sharing my face, sharing my voice, speaking my truth, being my authentic self, because that's who I'm here to be. I'm here to share my light and maybe guide others to open their light a little more and dig into themselves, question things, dig deeper, don't accept what they've been given all their lives, discover their true selves. So that's what I'm here to do. If you want to follow me in my journey, subscribe, like for more. In my next video, I will be talking about my wild pregnancy journey, what helped guide me up into what prepared me to the birth, to being able to birth freely with just me and my husband and nobody else. It was such a sacred space, and I would gladly do it again. And I'm so grateful that I was able to experience that with my husband by my side. And that was it. It was a beautiful experience, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Thanks again for watching. If you want to see more of me, like and subscribe for more.